What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna be back to work on our 2018 Dodge Ram. If you guys remember in the last video, we did get everything nice and taken apart. We know exactly what was damaged, and surprisingly, there wasn't much damage up front. And we also took off the doors. We got both doors off, and now that exposes us to this damage right here. So in today's video, we're probably gonna start taking out some of the seats so we can get to all this, because we are gonna be welding and cutting right there. And we also need to take off this bed, because we do have a new bed. This one is completely toast. You can't just replace the bed side. And then we'll also have to take off the rear bumper. So let's go ahead and take off this bed and the rear bumper. So we got the bumper off, and we went ahead and unplugged the tail lights and the gas cap over there. Now it's time to just unscrew all the bolts holding it down, and we can get this bed off. So we got the trunk bed off, and this thing is almost ready to go on the frame machine. We're gonna have to replace this entire piece back there. But as you guys know, this truck is a stolen theft recovery, and that brings us to today's video sponsor, SimpliSafe. SimpliSafe is an incredibly effective home security system to keep your home safe, or in our case, keep our shop safe. And you can order this kit either online or you can do it over the phone, because there's a lot of different kits and different options you can choose from. And once it comes in, it's super easy to install. You can install it in under an hour. All you do is simply peel off the double-sided tape, stick it on your door, which we will be doing here in a minute. And the cool thing is, this kit is 24/7 monitored by professionals. So if you do have a break-in or something, they'll call the cops and get that squared away. And it is really cheap, only 50 cents a day, which is super cheap compared to some of the stuff we have in here. We can't suffer a break-in, because that would really suck. So we are covered by SimpliSafe. So here's everything our kit came with. We have the base station right here, which is going to communicate with all of our other sensors. We have 2 cameras, 1 doorbell camera, and then 1 other camera that's going to go inside our shop. Then we have all of our sensors over here. We have the glass break, motion detection, entry sensors, which are going to go all on our doors. And then we have the panic button, which if you are ever in a panic situation, you can press that. And then we have our freeze detection sensor and our water sensor, and these will notify you if anything is wrong. And then we also have a station. This is how we're going to disarm and arm our alarm system. And then we also have the key fob, which you can use from over 200 feet away to arm it and disarm it. Our smoke detection sensor, so if we ever have a fire or anything, it will alarm us right away. And also the cool thing about this system is you can add more sensors or less sensors depending on what you need. So let's go ahead and install this in our shop. So we have the camera and the base station set up in the office, and we went ahead and installed all the entry sensors and the glass break sensors. Now let's go ahead and test the keypad. So here's the keypad. You simply enter your PIN, and then you can arm it, or if you're at home, you just simply press the home button. Let's go ahead and arm it and see how this thing works.
Please exit now.
And it's gonna give you 60 seconds to leave the building. So let's go ahead and give it 60 seconds, and then we'll see what happens. After you wait 60 seconds, it's simply gonna say away. And now let's try opening up the door and see what happens. The system is armed. Now let's go ahead and open up the door and see what happens. And check that out, guys. The alarm is going off, and this thing actually works. And then we just press. So we got the SimpliSafe system set up in the office and it works amazing. And you can also download the SimpliSafe app and you can monitor yourself if you have like a package being delivered or something like that. But if you want to get yourself a SimpliSafe system, head over to simplisafe.com/vtune or click the link down below in the description. So now we're gonna get back to work on our Dodge Ram. The first thing we're gonna do is go ahead and replace the steering box right here so we can actually drive it onto the frame, because the old one actually got broken off under here. If you can see, the shaft is just completely snapped off. So let's go ahead and replace that piece. In the front, now the truck will be able to drive and steer. Now we're going to move back onto the rear. We actually need to continue on taking off some of the parts because we are about to put this thing on the frame machine, which means we're going to have to cut and replace this entire piece right here. So we have to get the seat out and maybe remove some of this carpet just so we don't burn it out, and also cut this rear window out. So let's get to work. So we got the rear seats out of the truck. Now it's time to go ahead and start working on removing the headliner, because we need to get this rear glass out, because the way this piece is going to get replaced is basically through here. Right here we have spot welds that go all along down through there, and we did take a little better look at the damage, and it looks like this piece right here is just a little bit bent in, which I think we can pull out and straighten pretty easily. So let's go ahead and get this headliner out and then cut the glass out. So we got the rear glass out, and surprisingly it came out pretty easy, because usually we had some trouble in the past using this windshield gun right here. I tried it at first, but it did not work. So I went to O'Reilly's and picked up one of these, and we got it out perfectly. We did not ruin any of the moldings, which is usually what happens with the other gun. So if you're ever trying to get out a rear glass, just go to O'Reilly's, pick up one of these for $30, and it'll be easy to take out. Now what we're gonna do is go ahead and drive this truck on the frame rack, because it is ready. We got everything out of here, and now you can see we have exposed the spot welds right here. This is how we're gonna replace this entire piece going all the way up. So let's go ahead and start this thing up and get it on the frame rack. So we got the truck on the frame machine. This thing is pretty big. It barely fit on the frame machine, but we got it up there. Now what we need to do is go ahead and try to strap this thing down, because we are gonna be doing a little bit of pulling. It's not gonna require much pulling up here. So what we're gonna do is grab some wooden blocks, throw them under there, probably just to here, and then grab some chains and strap it all down so when we're pulling it doesn't move. truck nice and secure with some chains, and we did secure it right here by this control arm. But before you guys comment, that control arm is bad, so we will be replacing it. But now it's time to go ahead and start pulling. The first thing we're gonna do is start by pulling out, just grabbing it right here and kind of seeing how everything's gonna come out. So let's set up this frame post and give it a pull. So we got this cab section nice and pulled out. Now what we're gonna do is start removing this entire piece. And what we need to do now is go ahead and cover everything up with these nice welding blankets. So whenever we start cutting or grinding, nothing goes inside the truck. So let's go ahead and do that. So we got the truck all nice and covered up. Now what we're gonna do is start drilling out all of these spot welds right here, because we are gonna start replacing this piece. So we have to remove the old one, and we do have the new one right over here. It is from another donor Dodge Ram. I was gonna get a whole new piece, but they don't only sell it in the entire side, and I really just didn't want to throw away money. So we went ahead and got a used piece. So let's go ahead, and we'll probably have to do some wire wheeling right here to get all this glue off to expose all the spot welds. So let's go ahead and do some wire wheeling and start drilling this sucker out. So now that we've exposed all the spot welds by removing all the seam sealer and the glue, we can go ahead and use our drill and start drilling out all the spot welds to remove this entire piece. So we have all the holes drilled out. Now this piece is ready to come off, and what we're gonna do is use our chisel that is right here, and we're simply gonna stick it in there and kind of just pop off all these spot welds. So let me show you. Just like that. So we got this entire piece off. It came off pretty easy, and we don't really have much damage inside the inner piece right here. We just have a little bit, which we will straighten out with the hammer, and then we're gonna have to splice in the new piece up there, which it kind of slides in underneath the roof. And everything over here is looking pretty good. We'll have to do some more grinding and cutting, clean everything up over here. Now what we need to do is start working on our donor piece, which is right here. So we're gonna have to go ahead and probably take the door lock off and then start drilling out all of these spot welds. Basically replicate exactly what we did on that piece onto this piece. So let's get to drilling. So we finally got the donor piece all drilled out really nice. It came out really good, all nice and clean. And what I usually like to do is just go ahead and use a wire wheel to clean everything up before I do all the drilling. Now what we're gonna do is do a little bit more cleanup back here, clean all these spot welds up, and then we're gonna try to test fit the new piece and probably go ahead and throw on the doors. So we got the new donor piece on. We actually have to do a little bit more pulling on the inside area over here because it was pushed in a little bit more, but I think we got it almost there, and then we can cut and trim all this. But I really want to put the doors on and just see how they fit, because I do have 2 donor doors from another Dodge Ram. So let's get those doors and put them on and see what happens. So we went ahead and threw on both of the doors, and we also just put on the fender just to see how everything is lining up. And we got some pretty good news over here. The gap is looking pretty good, going all up through here, but up there it is kind of small. And I think the issue with that is the hinges are actually bad, because the gap here is a little bit too big, and I think it's a little too small over here if we push the fender in. So I'm guessing when it got in the accident, it kind of pulled those hinges back. So we will have to get some new hinges for there, but everything else is looking pretty good. Inside here, we also might have to do a little bit more pulling on this little hinge pillar right here, because as you can see, there's a little bit of a gap right there. That means that this hinge pillar right here needs to come out just a little bit. Just a couple of tips and tricks that you learn along the way of doing this for so long. And then up there, you can also see that is where the hinge should be. So that means that hinge is pushed in too. But looking under here, it is looking good. We got everything lined up. And then once we do, we will probably just go ahead and get some new hinges before we do any cutting and welding here, because I want to make sure everything lines up really good before we cut and weld it, so we don't have any mishaps and we don't have to redo anything. But it's looking pretty good so far. All the spot welds, as you can see right here, they're lining up in the exact same spots. So that's a pretty good sign right there. And then back here, we will have to just simply clamp everything down. But you can see back here too, the spot weld is almost there. It just needs to push in just a little bit. So that is looking good there. And then if we come around over here, the gap also on the hood is looking pretty good. We kind of lined the fender up into the exact spot, and the gap is perfect. So that means the front end is perfectly and square, didn't move over or anything. And then you can see over here, this gap is perfect and even all the way back. So now let's go back to the other side. And we do have a bed coming in probably sometime this week, so we will have to wait on that, because I don't want to weld anything until we have everything nice and lined up. That's just the way I like to do it, because sometimes if you don't test fit everything, you sometimes have some problems and then you have to redo stuff, and that's just something we don't want to do on this truck. Let's go ahead and hop up here. Man, this thing is giant. I'm kind of scared working on it up here, and then up here we just slid that in there, and then we'll have to do a little bit more cutting and welding up there. But it's coming together pretty good. A lot of you guys were saying that I would need a new cab, but it turns out this cab was not really damaged too bad. And these doors right here I got from a buddy of mine, Bros Auto, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna use them because they do have a lot of dents and dings in them, but I got a really good deal on them. So I'm gonna try to get the PDR guy out here to kind of straighten all that out, and then maybe we'll use them, or we'll just buy some new ones because they're not that expensive from the dealership, and new parts are always easier and better to work with. But yeah, that's gonna be kind of a wrap for today. All right guys, that's gonna be a wrap for today's video. We got a lot of work done on the Dodge Ram. We got the cap corner pulled out. It turned out it wasn't as bad as it looked. I know it looked really bad on the pictures because of all the rust and stuff, but we still needed to get the new door hinges for the door so we can line everything up perfectly and nice and square, and then we'll weld everything up. But if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and smash the like button, subscribe if you want to, and also follow me on Instagram at VTune. And if you want to cop some merch, go to vtune.com and get you something. Thanks for watching.